I was a freshman in high school, and I was looking for a summer job. And this was the situation I described to my guidance counselor, Father Flynn. I went to an all-boys Catholic high school in Phoenix, and said, "Father, I'm looking for a job." And he said, "Okay, I have an idea." Father Flynn was also the drama teacher, and earlier that spring, I had caught his eye with a program I designed for the Crucible. And he said, "You know what, Sean, I have a friend who runs a local print and copy shop called Trinity Printing." His name was Mr. Beauchamp. Yeah. You been there? It's a great place. Central and Camelback. So Mr. Beauchamp ran this place called Trinity Printing, and it was a place you could go to get like special projects done, like family calendars, self-published, spiral-bound books of like poetry and Bible verses. Nice place. And it was a cool job. It was within walking distance, so every day after school, I would walk there to Central and Camelback. She knows the place. And Mr. Beauchamp was a great boss. Like the place always, like with all the chemicals and paper from the copiers, it always smelled like a pair of new Nikes. And he'd let me do homework on slow days. And sometimes his stepdaughter Alexandra would be there, and we'd talk about art, and she was cool. And it was a totally awesome job because I got to train myself on Photoshop, which was like the late 90s, before people had it like on every computer in the world, and I got to, hone in my craft. And so this is the job I had all throughout high school. And I get all the way to senior year, and by this time, I have like my keys to I have my own pair of keys to the place. I can lock up when he leaves early, and word gets around town that I'm like the poster man. And because I was also in a band in high school. I was in a band called Nothing's for Sure. That's okay. We were all 16 once. But all my friends were in bands or theater kids, and I would do their posters and stuff. And this was kind of like my thing. But I never used Mr. Beauchamp's resources. Like I never used his printers or his paper because I was a good Catholic boy. This was my very first job. I didn't want to lose it, and he might give me like a letter of recommendation to a college one day, I really held that sacred oath to him. But one day, my friend Matt comes up to me at lunchtime, and he was in a metal band called Nerves of Steel. And the local radio station, KDKB 93.3, which is now a classic jazz station, they're having a local battle of the bands at the Mason Jar on 16th and Indian School. And he's like, "It's a big show, it's for the radio, can you do a poster?" I'm like, "Man, I'm psyched. Yeah, sure. When do you need it?" "I need it tomorrow." Which means I would have to do it that Friday, right after work. Or maybe during work. And I was thinking, maybe this is my chance to break into the big time. I can design it once Mr. Beauchamp leaves, and that's what I did. He leaves, he says, "Hey, Sean, I'm gonna take off." It was like 5 p.m. I say, "Okay, I'm just gonna stay and work on homework for a while, bye-bye." And then my friend Matt wanted a devil on his poster. So I checked out, a library book, and I scanned in the painting of the devil. It was like, like a Goya painting or something. I scanned in the painting of the devil, and then I wanted to print it out to do like a collage thing with it. So I printed out, but the printer was still set for a different type of paper, like the 11 by 17 tabloid size, and it was all messed up. I'm like, oh, gosh darn it. So I crumple that up when I throw it in the trash. The second try, it prints on the letter size, but the contrast was kind of dark. So I'm like, oh, okay. I crumple that one up, throw it away. Third time, I print it, the contrast is great. But then I realized, well, I only need like the devil face. So that's a third one, I throw that away. By the fourth try, and I'm feeling like the Catholic guilt, come on, Sean, it's four sheets of paper. The fourth one is perfect. It's a big devil face. I'm like, perfect. And I grabbed that, and I got 3 crumped up devils in the trash can. But I'm leaving, and I'm like, I know that Mr. Beauchamp empties the trash every day, and I don't want him to find the devils or something. Because I still am a very neurotic person. I'm like, okay, so I fished the devils out of the waste paper basket, and just to make sure he never found them, I threw them away behind a Little Caesars that was across the street, in their dumpster. So The Weeknd is a big smash. Matt loves the poster. It's a big hit within the high school metal band community in Phoenix. And I go into work the next day, Monday, and Mr. Beauchamp is there. And he's like, "Hey, Sean, you have a good weekend?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was really great, thanks." He's like, "Yeah. Hey, you were, did Alexandra come by after I left on Friday?" I'm like, "No, it was just me." It's like, "Yeah, it's just you. You're working on a school project, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a school project." I can feel my cheeks getting hot. I sit down at my desk. He's like, "Yeah, so it was just you." And I noticed this entire time he's been talking to me, in his hand, he's got like a short stack of like letter-sized sheets of paper. And one of them is like tabloid-sized. And I'm like, "What you got there?" And he's like, "Was this a school project for these?" And he's holding up 4 devils. You got the devil on the tabloid, dark devil, devil, but contrast is good, and then devil face. And he's standing underneath a crucifix next to like, "We reserve the right to, refuse service to anybody." And I'm, and I can't lie to him. I feel horrible. I'm like, "I'm sorry, Mr. Beauchamp. It was for like my friend Matt's concert poster. He's in a band called Nerves of Steel, and it was like for a big show. And I'm sorry. I can pay you back if you want to." And he's like, he's just smiling. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I just want to make sure you didn't need these." And I feel horrible because like I betrayed his trust, the one thing I didn't want to do. And it's weird, like the new sneaker smell seemed to go away. And the office just seemed so much quieter. And I'm sitting at my desk. I'm like, "Man, you really messed this one up, didn't you?" And the day ends, and he says, "Hey, Sean, can I talk to you for a moment?" In his office. And I'm walking back to his office, and I can feel just my future disintegrating in flames. That letter of recommendation's long gone. I mean, I'm going to get fired. I'm definitely going to get fired. I go into his office, and I'm standing in front of his desk. He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yes." And he bows his head, and he begins to pray. "Father God, we ask that you bless your servant, Sean David Christensen, as he..." I'm like, "Oh no, now this is even worse than being fired. He's praying for my soul, and I'm doomed." And he's like, he continues, "Father God, we bless that you ask your servant Sean David Christensen as he focuses for his upcoming finals at Brophy College Preparatory. We ask you that he balances his extracurricular activities with his studies to make sure that he ends the semester as strong as he can." And he said, "I just don't want you spreading yourself too thin with these extra projects." And he smiles at me. He wrote me a beautiful letter, I'm sure. And he still likes my stuff on Facebook, like the drawings that I post from my job at USC. I work as a graphic designer. So as it turned out, my soul was saved after all. And if you're listening to the podcast, Mr. Beauchamp, thank you for the job. Okay.
Sean David Christensen, ladies and gentlemen.